Hello and welcome to MotoGP 24. Finally, the game has released and I'm super excited to get into this one. Now before I do get into the video, I do just want to thank the guys over at PLAION and Premier Comms for providing me with a code for the game to be able to play it a little bit before release and actually get this video out for you guys right at launch time. I am so excited to get into this game. There's quite a lot of good features that I'm interested in. Obviously, rider transfer is a big one, but also I'm actually quite interested to see how this new sort of stewards panel happens, like where the AI can get penalties and the player can get penalties for collisions and stuff like that. So without any further ado, let's head into the game and I'll give it my first impressions. Now normally I'd just completely rush straight through the rider creation, I wouldn't even show it in the first impressions video, but as you can see, when you're on the suit selection, there is actually 3 different suits now. So Alpinestars, Dainese and Ixon, which is pretty interesting. I don't know if any others are going to be added because, of course, with the rider transfers this year, they've actually had to create more suits for the different teams, basically. So I don't know whether actually after the day 1 patch, there'll be more of these or whether it will just be these 3. But even still, very interesting. Oh, and they've got rid of old school as well. They've got rid of the old school riding style. So I've just been looking through the riding style. Sorry to keep focusing on this part of the game, but just quite interesting to me that I hadn't actually realised that these were going to be things in this game. It does make sense, because obviously there's no historic bikes, there wasn't last year, so I guess it kind of makes sense to get rid of the old school style. But here we are then in the main menu, and UI-wise, does look pretty similar to last year, but of course they have changed the background now, and I've got to say, it does look pretty cool. I think the first thing I'm going to do is, as I always do with these first impressions videos, is just hop straight into time trial, do some laps, sort of give you my first impressions on the physics, because I know that's what you guys are interested in. You know, you've been able to see the other YouTubers that have got the game early, or the videos that Milestone have released. You know what the graphics look like, but the physics, that's what you want to hear, and that's what people don't tend to talk about. So, as I always do, I think it'll probably be Sepang that I do the laps at. My favourite track I'm probably the most comfortable at, so that is the one I tend to go with. Don't know which rider I'm going to be. I was Bagnaia last year, so I might actually be a different rider this year. But without any further ado, we'll head down to the track, and I'll see you there. So here we are then, down at the Sepang International Circuit, and I've decided to play as Maverick Vinales today, after his pretty good start to the season, to be honest. The Aprilia is looking like a good bike this year, and you know, most people are going to do theirs on the Ducati, hopping on as Bagnaia or Marquez, or maybe the KTM as Acosta. So I thought I would just change things up a little bit and jump on the Aprilia, because it should be a pretty friendly bike, to be honest. Now, it does look like this menu's actually changed in the pits, but either way, we are just going to head straight out onto the circuit. This cutscene seems to be the same, so we'll just give that a skip. And here we are, coming out of the pits. I can hear already that the bike actually sounds better, or sounds different at least. Whether it's better, I guess I'll sort of get a feel of that as I ride around, but already sounds probably more realistic, I'd say. That wasn't more realistic, though, cutting across the pit lane line on the exit. But here we are then, straight onto the track. And first thing you'll notice immediately is that pickup effect is gone. If you guys were around last year, see when I was doing my MotoGP 23 impressions, that was the first thing that I noted, or one of the early things I noted. I remember, obviously I was focusing a lot on the rear tyre issue that was in MotoGP 22, and whether they'd fix that with it pushing the front. But I guess people's biggest sort of gripe with the physics of last year's game is gone now, so that should make it a bit easier to compete with the AI. I mean, I'm sure most of us were pretty much on the AI's level anyway, but it was a bit ridiculous in some places how much they could pull. Although I'm hoping that doesn't make the game easier, because I like the game to be a bit more difficult against the AI. It's a bit more fun. But so far, I've done half a lap without crashing, so that's a good sign. Don't know why my tyres were stone cold coming out of the pits, by the way, because they're supposed to have tyre warmers on, so I'm not sure what that was all about. Don't know if that's a bug, or I'd imagine it's a bug. Surely your tyres can't come out stone cold. I mean, I know they're a little bit cold, you've got to get up to temperature, but they were completely stone cold. I'll tell you what, so far, obviously I'm nowhere near the limit, so it's hard to judge the game until you're at the limit of the physics, of course. That's when you start to find the flaws and things like that, but so far it feels pretty good, I'm not going to lie. Don't really have anything negative to say about it. Not quite getting, you know, I'm not getting the same sort of moments on the front end that I often got in MotoGP 23 and MotoGP 22 as well. And 23, don't get me wrong, it was a lot better. Try the ride height device out of here. Still getting some wheelies, but again, you do see that in real life, so nothing too unrealistic there. As we go down towards the final turn, see if we can summon the brakes a bit, see how powerful the brakes are. They do seem quite good there, actually. That pulled down much quicker than I was expecting, so far, you know, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm not going to lie. So usually, trying to get like a sort of a lap without running off the track is pretty difficult when I first jump on these games, but because obviously the physics are usually pretty different. The physics obviously feel different, but I think probably in a good way at the moment, and that is great because that is something that's clearly been lacking in the games as of late. I mean, again, if you guys watch my channel, you know, you'll see the amount of videos is just not as high as it used to be on MotoGP 20, for example, or a game that I really enjoyed. And obviously a lot of that is down to, you know, not having the time as much as I did back then, but also at the same time, it's when the game isn't as good, you don't try and make the time as much as you would, so there you go. That's, oh, whoa, that was a big moment. Hang on, can we have a look at that on the replay? I don't think so. That's unfortunate, but that was one hell of a moment there. Wow, I think the front sort of came off the ground as I sort of changed direction on the bikes, then the front just sort of came back on the ground with some sort of lock on it. Because actually that is something that is a feature in this game. The handlebars actually sort of more accurately turn. So I might actually throw it up the road later. Well, I'll probably crash by accident at some point, but when you crash now, the handlebars do turn, supposedly, from that all that pre-release gameplay that we've seen, so we'll have to give it a go, but yeah, so far, physics... Bike seems to change direction quite nice. I don't know if you've noticed that so far, but again, since GP20, it's kind of been a thing where the bike has been really sluggish, and I don't know if it's the fastest thing in the world, but compared to GP23, it feels pretty good. Obviously, the biggest thing so far is just that lack of sort of the bike just picking itself up for no reason. Still seems like the front tyre is going to maybe be a bit of an issue, so it got quite overheated as we went through that penultimate turn. But of course, I'm only on a medium front tyre, and it is Sepang, so probably the hottest track in the game. Up there with Catalonia. Okay, no, that's a bit more realistic with the braking there. And we've been told invalid lap track limits, so... Oh, and the next lap's invalid as well, so that's not great. But what I actually was going to say was I think I might turn some of the electronics down a little bit. See how the bike handles with those sort of turned off, because, well, that's really how you determine if the bike itself is good. It's obviously having the lack of electronics. It was set to... Traction control was set to 4 by default. Everything else, actually, let's have a look. So it goes up to 5 on engine braking, 5 on traction control, 5 on anti-wheelie, so that's as you'd expect. Power obviously up to 3, so I'll probably turn power down a little bit, because generally, I don't think you'll be running in power by 3, because you would run out of fuel, so it's not really something you'll be doing particularly. So I'll probably put them all onto 3 and just do a couple of laps to see how I get on. I've run a bit wide there, the bike's sliding underneath, I was a bit too aggressive on the throttle, but I think that will be something that you'll probably struggle with a little bit when you first go on it, because the bike no longer picks itself up so ridiculously out of the corners. You can actually be a bit more aggressive on the throttle because the bike actually turns. So you probably will end up pinging yourself off a bit more because you can be a bit more aggressive with the throttle. You'll sort of hit a different barrier than you did in the previous game. Yeah, the field 3 it's sliding out a little bit more, but that's nothing to be too... Yep, that's pretty good there as I've crashed. And you did notice that the front wheel did stay turned as I went into the gravel. I think because the handlebars didn't hit the ground, I think it's why they didn't sort of, neither did the wheel really, so that's why they didn't turn. But I have seen them turn with the pre-release footage, but I can't remember what I was going to say now. But I think I was saying that the fact that the rear is sliding is a good thing. I was not complaining about it. But I think what I might do, I think I might just do a couple of laps without talking now. I'll probably play a lap as well with just the engine sounds for you guys. And then probably at the end I'll give a bit more of an overview of the feedback, because so far it feels similar to MotoGP 23 in a lot of ways. Obviously the biggest thing, like I keep saying, is the pickup thing, but the bike does seem a bit more responsive. Seems like it's perhaps got a bit more torque in the lower end as well, which is another thing that I'm not really enjoying the last couple of MotoGP games. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier actually, but it's worth noting that I am using no assist, so it's Pro Physics, all the assists off. So I've not got any of the neural stuff on or anything like that. So if you guys do use some of those, then maybe, you know, if you're using not Pro Physics or using some of those neural things, you may get some different feelings from the game. But for me, this is just no assist on at all. So this is the sort of the raw bike experience, I guess. Okay, so that curb still seems a bit buggy on the outside, so don't ride on that curb. It does seem to still throw you up in the air. It's a shame because it's literally been like that since like MotoGP 20 at least. I mean, it's probably been like that since MotoGP 18 if I'm being honest, because I probably haven't updated the curves of this track since then, since they brought it to Unreal Engine. So you can see really that on the last few laps I've kind of been trying, like you can see they're all invalid and they're all clearly got a crash on them, and that's because I've sort of just been trying different bits to get a bit more of a feedback. So I'm deliberately trying to push a bit harder on the brakes to see what happens, and I'm taking different lines, so just giving me a bit more of an understanding. When you try to actually push, which is difficult to do when you first jumped on a game, is to really push, but that's where you're going to be when you're playing the game, so that's what you've got to try and experience. The front tyre temperature does seem to spike up quite a lot, which, to be honest, is not unrealistic. Maybe it's a bit much, because obviously I'm the only bike on track. So it's a massive thing, isn't it, in MotoGP at the moment with the front tyre temperatures and the pressures. And I don't think it's so much a problem with the rears, it is usually the front. So in the hot air of the bikes in front, and obviously just the high ambient temperature, which I guess is kind of the factor here at Sepang. In fact, we saw some penalties, I think, last year at Sepang because of the tyre pressure, or some warnings at the very least. I think Martin may have got a warning here. Can't remember exactly, but I think he did. So that definitely seems to still be a thing, but obviously if I was going to try and do this track properly, I'd probably stick a hard front tyre in, rather than just using the medium. So there you go then, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy that lap of the pure game audio. It wasn't the best. There was quite a few little mistakes in it, so I do apologise for that. But of course, again, it is literally my first. It's my 7th lap on the game there you can see. So it's not going to be perfect at all. And now that I've proper sort of gave it a few goes, gave it a bit of a push. Obviously, I'm not going to be 100% sure because, again, it's still literally my first time playing the game. But so far, the feeling I'm getting from the physics are, you probably will have noticed at the last corner, so it's in my head right there. The bike still doesn't want to turn in very much. It's always very noticeable at Portimao turn 5, especially the hairpin. The bike just does not turn at all. The bike just understeers really wide, and even the AI can't turn in for the corner properly, I don't think. But it's always a thing with the players, and it's one of the first things that you notice when you watch sort of preview gameplay. I remember seeing some at Portimao and saw that it was still a problem. Hadn't really thought about it much because this track doesn't have that many corners like that. But we got to the last corner, the bike just was very lazy, wouldn't turn. It's hard to sort of turn it on a dime, so that's one thing. But overall, the rest, that's just basically the same as previous. The rest seems a lot better. Just seemed like there's a bit more torque perhaps in the rear end. I was trying to slide the bike a little bit as well in a few places, so you probably noticed I really span up out of one of the corners. I think I almost threw myself off. That may be because the traction control's down to 3, so I think it's obviously 2 down from the top, but even still, it seemed like you could turn the bike with the rear a little bit more than you perhaps could in the previous games. Front end seemed to be a bit more planted. So on MotoGP 23, it was worse on 22, but 23 it was still sort of a thing. Into the corners, I lost the front like loads of times for basically no reason. Almost like very little brake, and the front would just seem to fold, and the rear would just be going too fast to sort of push you in, and the tyre temperature didn't help with that. The tyre temperature used to sort of go sky high, and you'd start falling the front end. I think that will still be a problem in this game, because I've seen already my tyre temperature has gone sky high now. Again, like I said, I could use a hard tyre, but it probably won't be a lot better, so front tyre temperature will probably still be an issue in this game, I would imagine. So those are the standout things. So more torque, the bike still doesn't really turn at low speed, the front end does feel a bit better, but the sounds, I mean, I know we're not really talking about sounds particularly when we're talking about physics, but my overall impressions, obviously graphically, it's very similar to the previous game, but the sounds sound so much better. Now, I'm not one of those people that's a massive stickler for them anyway. I know some people really, really don't like the sounds in the previous games and think they're really bad, but even I could tell that they sound a lot better. I don't know what they've done differently, whether they've re-recorded the bikes at like a test or something, or they've got better microphones, or they've just been given more access. I don't know why, but they do sound a lot more like the real-life bikes on board, so that's really good. Ride-out device seems to work a bit better, I think, to be honest. I think previously it didn't really make you much quicker out the corner, didn't stop the wheelies so much. Seems to maybe do that a little bit better. You do feel like you're gaining something a little bit from it. Obviously, you still can't turn very well with it on, which is realistic, so glad to see that they've not sort of undone that at all when they've been trying to improve the ride-out device. You'll have noticed that in the penultimate turn, I whacked on the ride-out device, tried to get out the corner, realised I was getting towards that curb again, you know, the curb that looked me up earlier on in the video, so I tried to avoid it, so it looked a bit sharp, but yeah, overall, first impressions are very, very positive of the physics. Again, difficult to tell until you get 100% into it and properly start pushing, but so far, definitely feels like an improvement on MotoGP 23, which I could feel almost immediately coming out of the pits. Well, I definitely could hear it immediately with the sound, but physics-wise, I could feel once I started to push, definitely felt a lot better, especially the front end, which was a bit of a bugbear of mine in MotoGP 23, so hopefully that means it'll actually be a bit more pleasant to ride. I mean, the fact that my first lap was pretty much, not faultless, but I didn't make any mistakes really, didn't run off the track or anything like that, or crash, so the fact that you can do that straight away, obviously maybe does indicate the game's a little bit easy, but I think it's more the fact that the bike's just realistic, or a bit more realistic, so you can actually understand it a bit more, because generally I know sort of what's going on with the bike. Only sort of criticism, I guess, the direction changes. I think the direction changes are better than MotoGP 23, but they're still a bit slow, and the bike just overall responds a little bit slower than I would like on sort of turning. So when I'm trying to make some more adjustments in the braking zone, or for example sort of out turn 3 here onto the back straight, sometimes I've got the bike sort of straightened up and I want to sort of edge over to the left hand side of the track, but I end up leaning a bit left, and then by the time I want to bring it back to the right, it doesn't really respond very quickly. I'll see if I can do it here actually. Although it's a bit tricky when you're consciously, deliberately trying to do it. But it might be like, try and bring it over here, and then it's harder to get the bike to actually go back into the right. I mean, again, I kind of over-exaggerated there, and again, you can see the turned handlebars as we go into the corner. And I think that's what happened up here, because I think if you... Yeah, there you go, I think that just happened again. Let me see if I can do a wheelie to try and turn it. Yeah, you can. You can turn the handlebars whilst the wheel is up in the air. Although, that didn't really seem to affect me at all, which is a bit strange, because I kind of would have expected potentially a crash as the front wheel came back down then, because I had so much lock on it. But it did seem to stand. But I think that's pretty much it for my first impressions of MotoGP 24, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed that one. Career mode should be out later today. I think I'll probably have some other videos up as well, maybe some just no commentary races. And then of course, once the game's been out a day or two, I'll probably be trying to do some online videos and stuff as well with some of you guys and some other people, and just, you know, the usual kind of content that I like to do on these games, like maybe little challenges, stuff like that. But do stick around for career mode. That should be up later today. I'm not exactly sure what time, but it'll be early afternoon, so keep an eye out for that one. But hopefully you guys did enjoy that one. If you are new to the channel, please do like the video and subscribe, because it really helps me out. And of course, there'll be plenty more MotoGP 24 game content in your subscription feed, so it is a win-win for both of us. But like I said, I hope you did enjoy that video. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Hope you'll stay safe, and I shall see you in the next one.